blast. Teenage dreams and neon screens. It was all rad, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like whatever, together forever. We're never gonna sever. Laughing and sharing our stories clever. We'll take you back. It's like whatever.
Welcome to Like Whatever, a podcast for, by, and about Gen X. I'm Nicole, and this is my BFFF, Heather.
Bonjour.
So, something I learned yesterday. I was scrolling through Instagram, and it said that Generation Beta starts January 1st, 2025. And I didn't even realize there was a Generation Alpha, but there was. So I have a little bit of tidbits here to fill you in since we are Gen X, and that is what we talk about.
I don't know about any other generations but myself.
Yep. So the Gen Alpha obviously has things that they know they went through, and Gen Beta is what they think they're going to probably go through. So Generation Alpha goes from 2010 to 2024. They were the first to be born entirely in the 21st century.
That's so fucking weird.
Isn't it crazy? Remember when we were partying like it was 1999 in like 83?
Yeah.
Sure do. They are children of millennials, which is crazy because millennials seem like babies.
How are they even having children?
They were born at a time of falling fertility rates around much of the world.
It's weird.
Yeah, I guess we're all deciding we have too many people on this planet, maybe.
Like not.
Yeah, that's when I first read it, I was thinking infertility.
Yeah.
But it just says falling fertility rates. So maybe it's just people are having less babies.
Yeah.
But I probably should have looked into that more. But anyway, if you're listening to this and you care, go look it up. So they experienced COVID-19 pandemic as young children. Which is crazy. Like, can you imagine having gone through that when you were a kid?
The whole last 4 years just seems
It's a blur.
Weird.
It's like stuff that happened before COVID and after COVID now.
It's really
because
weird.
like really 2020 to 2022, nothing happened. Like
no,
it was really just a blur. Like nothing was happening.
I know.
Yeah.
And then it's just I don't even know.
Right. So either it happened in the past year or two, or it happened before we had to wear masks. But other than that,
pre and post mask.
Yeah. And so also the Generation Alpha, their entertainment is increasingly dominated by electronic technology and social networking.
Yes, definitely the social networking.
Yeah. Which, that's just a whole nother level of bullying. Like, can you imagine when you left school, it didn't stop because people could still access you?
So I'm not going to give my total opinion on this, but, from somebody who was bullied quite a bit.
Right.
And because I am a Gen Xer and I'm just like, fuck everybody else.
Right.
Fuck your feelings. I don't know. To me, just turn it off. Just turn it off.
Right.
Like my stepdaughter.
Right.
Is having some issues and I'm just like, just block it. Like, what?
I do understand your point of view, but that's their lifeline.
And I get that. So that's where I am torn because.
But you can block people who are bothering you and still talk to people that you like.
Exactly.
Right.
And like when I was a kid, I could not block those people because I had to see them every day and I had to be in person with them. And you can't block. I mean, I did eventually block one of them, but that was an illegal block. 15 yards.
But it's so hard too because
out. To the floor.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like I work with high school students and it's just crazy. Like shit starts on social media the night before and those kids show up at school 7 a.m. fighting. Yeah. 7 o'clock in the morning, man.
I don't know. I think it's just maybe because I just never cared that much. So if I get bullied online, I'm just like, okay. Yeah. I never really cared.
Yeah. But it sucks because I feel like for a lot of them, their whole self-worth is based on
for sure
what they look like and what the filter does and, how many likes they get.
How much Sephora they get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was, What was I listening to? Oh, there's a comedian, Nate Bargatze. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Or Borghetzi, I think is right. I love him. Have you listened to him?
I haven't really, but I know who
He's
you're talking
completely clean. He does not cuss. He is a good old boy from Tennessee. He can't even fathom cussing and having his parents hear it. So, like, he is totally clean, but he is hilarious. And he was talking about his daughter. She's like, I think he said she's like 8 or 11, something in there.
Yeah.
And so she's into YouTube and watching kids play with toys on videos and and watching like people's TikTok stuff. And he said that, you know, they don't let her have social media, but he said on his phone alone, he has like a gabillion hours of her like, okay, guys, like, subscribe, like creating videos, but only he sees them.
Right.
But it's nuts. Like, I'm so glad, like, my kids, I actually was looking through Facebook memories the other day and Christmas time and my girl's first iPod touches.
I saw you posted that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, that was so special. And, but I didn't have to deal with like, and when my kids, when they got phones, it was still fairly new.
Right.
So I could take their, like, kids will fucking kill their parents to get their phones now. But, you know, when you go to bed, I take the phone, you know, and now kids are up all night long on their phones at all kinds of ages.
I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where just because you can doesn't mean you should with technology.
And just because your kid throws a fit doesn't mean you should just let them have it.
It's a lot of things.
You're the adult.
Yeah.
They're the child.
But I mean, if you can't even put your own phone down, like,
right.
You know,
what example are you setting for them? Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So, Generation Beta will start tomorrow.
Oh.
Yep. These kids will grow up in a technology-driven world of artificial intelligence, autonomous transportation, and immersive digital experiences.
You know, the fact that these kids, when they hit 16, will probably not know how to drive a car.
Right.
It's crazy, right?
I was thinking that when I wrote this, I was like, driver's ed's going to become obsolete.
Yeah. You won't have to have a driver's license.
No.
You just have to be able to pay attention.
Exactly.
And, well, but they can't even do that, so.
They will be raised by millennials and older Gen Z parents, many of whom prioritize adaptability, equality, and eco-consciousness, which I didn't say consciousness, which will hopefully result in this new generation being more globally minded, community focused, and collaborative. Now, that all sounds very hopeful to me.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I feel like we're becoming less community focused and more
because,
self-centered.
you know, and, you know, with the advent of the computers and everything, nobody has to be social anymore. You can be social my way, where you just sit in a room by yourself and talk to other people.
I remember when my kids were teenagers and they would talk about these random friends, and I knew their friends, like, because I was that mom. Like, I had them over.
Right. We
had parties. I went to all the school events. Like, I knew all the friends. And they'd mention a friend, and I'd be like, who? And they're like, oh, I met them on Instagram. And that was my first real exposure to that happening. But they're like real friends, like, to them.
And that, I guess that's just it. You know, they're real friends. And
and some of them even live kind of locally, but they still don't know each other in real life.
No, it's weird. And you know, and then you see other people living their lives on Facebook, and then it's just like, well, that's what's supposed to happen. But it's all lies. Like, it's all just lies. You can put on any front you want.
They always say the more that someone is pushing their relationship on Facebook, the worse the relationship.
100%. Yeah.
Look how happy we are. So, what about you? Do you have any good stuff to talk about this week before we get into the topic?
I did. So my dad was a surfer.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. And where'd it go? He has surfed in Hawaii and California and stuff. And then did he ever tell any stories about any like big waves or? He had the shit beat out of him in California because the waves were bigger. First of all, he was too old. Yeah. So he went with a younger one of the guys that we worked with.
Yeah,
and
that's always a bad idea.
Yeah. and I think he was like, this kid was like 20, 21, somewhere in there. And my dad was, 40.
Yeah.
And I know that the waves were particularly big when they went, because they specifically went at I guess there's a certain time where California's waves are bigger.
Yeah.
And it's really cold. The water's really cold in California. It's much colder here than here. I don't think it gets real warm like it does here. So, and they probably went in the winter also. I don't know.
Because you had a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they both worked there.
Yeah.
So, so it would have had to be in the winter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he got the shit beat out of him. And I think, and that was one of the, he went to Hawaii after that because he had, one of his old surfing buddies lives in Hawaii. He has since passed away.
Okay.
But he lived in Hawaii for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad went out to visit him. My mom and dad went out to visit him, and he surfed while he was there. I think that was probably the last time he surfed. After his accident, he can't lift his arm up.
Oh.
So he can't surf anymore. He can't golf anymore.
The motorcycle accident.
Yeah, the motorcycle accident. He can't raise his arm, like he couldn't paddle, and he can't swing a golf club anymore. So yeah, so
that's a shame.
he doesn't surf anymore. He's too old for it now, but yeah, he did surf. I don't think he surfed real big ones, and I know that California kicked his ass, but I don't remember how big they were. Because here it's if a storm rolls in, then they're 10 foot maybe, but
right.
Beyond
you
that,
might get
yeah,
to surf.
His thing was skiing. He does still ski.
Wow.
Yeah, and he skis. He is a very good skier. Like he could ski. I don't know that I know he's been to Utah and Montana, wherever the big mountains are. I don't ski.
Those big snowy mountains.
Yeah. He's been, and I think he's done those where, I don't think he's done the helicopter drop ones, but I know he's been on some very rugged where it's like not a lot of people can ski. He's very good at skiing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, he's all right. Anyway.
Right.
So the big wave, there is a competition, and it can only happen every once in a while in Hawaii. It's a big wave. It's the Big Wave Challenge, and it's after this one surfer who died. He drowned, saving other people. Mm-hmm. I forget the whole story of it, but it's named after him, and he only surfed big waves. Mm-hmm. So this competition, they just had it. They haven't had it in a couple years. The waves have to be over 40 feet in order to surf it. Okay. So they did just have it a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. But I saw this. A 23-year-old rode a 108-foot wave. That's like tsunamis.
Dude, oh my God.
Yeah.
That sounds like, I'm not scared of the ocean, but that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, he is. It's going to go down. They're trying to confirm it, but it will go down in the record book. The current record is 86 feet, which is insane.
Yeah, because I jumped off a 50-foot cliff once when I was
fuck no,
whitewater rafting, and I closed my eyes because I'm terrified of heights, and I fell for long enough that in my head I was like, I should have hit the water by now. I must be dead. And so I can't even fathom what being up that high on a surfboard with a crashing wave around you. Like
it says it's not only incredible for its size, but also for its perfect barreling shape. So it was like a beautiful. I saw pictures of it. It is the nice looking. If you're into that, it is a
nice looking wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it says he expertly. Oh, okay. He rode the entire wave face. He expertly carved a graceful line from the top of the wave to the bottom, and then turned into a colossal barrel before safely exiting out the beastly wave's shoulder.
Man, that must have felt so good. Can you imagine how good that felt when he popped out the other side?
The thing is, and it
There
does
has to be a
barrel
moment
nice.
in there where you're like, well, I don't know. Surfers are crazy. They probably don't think about dying.
No.
But yeah, that would be nuts.
It is the way if you all get a chance to look at it, you should look at this 100-foot wave that this kid surfs. It's insane.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't. It scares me.
Yeah,
The ocean is scary.
the older I get, the scarier I guess.
100%.
All right, so let's get into this week's topic. So, well, I'll start it with let's fuck around and find out about former president and lifelong humanitarian James Earl Carter Jr., which I didn't realize he shared a name with James Earl Jones, and that's pretty cool too. But anyway, but we decided, with his passing this week that we wanted to do an episode on his accomplishments and his long life of humanity, just being a good human.
He really was, I don't know, because we were so young when he served. I didn't give two shits about politics when I was 5, but
right.
I don't think he gets a lot of credit for.
But an episode or two ago, we talked about good Christians, and he was one of those you want praying for you. Yeah, for sure. Because he, if anybody had that connection, he did.
He seemed like a good man.
He did. So Jimmy Carter, otherwise known as James Earl Carter Jr., was the 39th president of the United States. He was born October 1st, 2024. 1924. He died in 2024. In the small farming town of Plains, Georgia, and grew up in the nearby community of Archery. His father, James Earl Carter Sr., was a farmer and businessman, and his mother, Lily Gordon Carter, was a registered nurse. So he comes from good stock.
Yes.
Good people. He was educated in the public school of Plains, attended Georgia Southwestern College and the Georgia Institute of Technology, and received a BS degree from the United States Naval Academy in 1946. In the Navy, he became a submariner, serving in both the Atlantic and Pacific fleets and rising to the rank of lieutenant.
See, I did not know. I guess I just really didn't know much about Carter before
I agree. Like, I knew he was a good human. I knew he only served one term. I knew, the later in life stuff, like the things we've heard about lately. But yeah, I learned a lot doing this, so this was fun. So he was chosen by Admiral Hyman Rickover for the nuclear submarine program. And he was assigned to Schenectady, New York, where he took graduate work at Union College in reactor technology and nuclear physics, and served as senior officer of the pre-commissioning crew of the Seawolf, the second nuclear submarine. And
really, who knew? I'm sorry. That just blows my mind. I did not expect Jimmy Carter to have been a nuclear.
Right. Wait till I get to the part where he's a rock and roll fan. Like,
seriously? Okay. I didn't read this, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out with you.
Crazy. All right. So, inspired by postcards from his uncle, Tom Gordy, I made sure to space those out so I wasn't saying make him look bad. Carter decided to join the Navy at a young age. After completing 2 years at Georgia Southwestern College and the Georgia Institute of Technology, Carter enrolled in the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and he graduated in the top 10% of his class in 1946. He also did not become valedictorian of his high school, and I have a little tidbit about that later, too.
Oh, snap.
Mm-hmm. So in the Navy, Carter completed 2 years of surface ship duty. And then he went into the submarine service, which I talked about earlier. So he was on the USS Seawolf. However, when the senior Carter fell ill, and so his dad died in 1953, Jimmy returned to Plains to take over the family business.
Right.
On July 7th, 1946, he married Rosalind Smith of Plains. They're just the cutest little things.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, they were so cute. I cannot believe he made it as long as he did after she went. Like,
I know it was a year. Well, he was in hospice for a year.
yeah,
Like
he was trying to get to her.
the
doctors were too good.
I think he's got to have the record for like the longest time in hospice.
Well, I read
anybody.
that he lived long enough to vote for Kamala, but not long enough to have to live through another.
Yeah.
Anyway, I lost my place. Okay. He quickly became a leader of the community, serving on county boards, supervising education, the hospital authority, and the library. In 1962, he won election to the Georgia Senate. He lost his first gubernatorial campaign in
You're a goober.
You're a goober. In 1960, your mom. Don't tell her I said that. In 1966, but won the next election, becoming Georgia's 76th governor on January 12th, 1971, 2 years before I was born. He was the Democratic National Committee campaign chairman for the 1974 congressional and gubernatorial elections.
Easy for you to say.
All right, so that's just a little basic background on him. So now we're going to talk about President Jimmy Carter.
Wait, hold up.
Okay.
First, I just did learn about this week.
Yes.
And I went on the Google because I did not know this about him. I learned this on the Tickety Talk.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So he first of all, did you know that there was some kind of meltdown in Canada? You didn't. I didn't. Nuclear reactive.
I don't think I did.
Let me find it. Is it? So when Canada's Chalk River Nuclear Research Facility experienced a power surge that damaged its reactor, the U.S. sent Carter and his team. He was one of a few people in the world who could do it.
Was he president yet?
No.
Or was that just from his
That's from prior
skills?
to. It
Yeah.
doesn't say what year it was, but I
Probably while he was in the
he was
military.
28.
Okay.
So he was 28. He was still in he was still in the Navy.
Okay. So he was really high up in the Navy then.
Yeah. So they sent him fuel rods at the research reactor experienced a partial meltdown after the power surge. It ruptured the reactor and flooded the facility's basement with radioactive water, rendering the reactor core unusable. So in his autobiography, A Full Life Reflections at 90, he described the incident and his preparations for repairing the reactor. They built an exact replica of the reactor, true to the last detail, except for the nuclear material, on a nearby tennis court to practice and track their progress.
That sounds like Ocean's 11 when they planned to rob the vault.
Yeah.
And they rebuilt the vault.
So him and 22 other team members were separated into teams of 3 and lowered into the reactor for 90-second intervals to clean the site. I know. It was estimated that 1.5 minutes was the maximum time humans could be exposed to the levels of radiation present in the area.
And the man lived to be 100.
Yeah, right?
That's insane. He was a superhero.
Maybe that's what.
Yeah.
Oh, he says we were fairly well instructed then on what nuclear power was, but for about 6 months after that, I had radioactivity in my urine.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah. They let us get.
And he still lived to 100. That's insane.
They let us get probably 1,000 times more radiation than they would now. It was in the early stages, and they didn't know.
Shit, you look back on those people like George Burns. Was that his name? Yeah.
Yes.
That drank
smoked his whole-
martinis and smoked their whole lives. And you're like, damn, he still lived. But this dude was fucking radioactive.
Well, and they said the exposure was especially dangerous for him because he has a family medical history of cancer. His father had pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, his dad died young.
Cancerous tumors were found on the former president's liver and brain in 2015 as he turned 91.
And he said, psh, I'm just going to go ahead and live another 9 years.
Yeah, he said, fuck off. He literally said, fuck cancer.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, I thought that was a crazy little tidbit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I did not
I didn't
know.
even see that and all the stuff I did.
There's
There's so much about him.
I know.
It's overwhelming.
The TikTok that was on lasted like forever, and I was like, there's too many of these things to write down. Like I would have had to listen to it 5 times, and I don't have that kind of attention span.
Yeah. So on December 12th, 1974, Jimmy Carter announced his candidacy for the President of the United States. He won the party's nomination on the first ballot at the 1976 Democratic National Convention and was elected president on November 2nd, 1976.
Nice.
Jimmy Carter served as president from January 20th, 1977 till January 20th, 1981. He defeated incumbent President Gerald Ford. Following his inauguration, Carter opted to walk from the Capitol to the White House with his wife and daughter in the inaugural parade, symbolizing a humble shift away from the imperial presidency. On his first full day of office, Carter pardoned hundreds of thousands of Vietnam War draft evaders in an attempt to heal the psychic effects of war and social unrest that came with it. And I love that so much. Yeah. He was so ahead of his time.
He really was.
He just, yeah. So throughout his inaugural year, Carter prioritized energy policy and urged the public to seriously consider the energy crisis. This was the 70s. Yeah. And people are still denying that
we don't have an energy crisis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In a televised April 1977 speech, the president called the impending crisis the moral equivalent of war and emphasized energy conservation measures. He established the Department of Energy with the Department of Energy Organization Act later that year, but he expressed frustration with the slow pace of energy reform for the remainder of his presidency. Well, he only got 4 years, so that's a short amount of time to get a lot done.
Yeah.
He created new protected land, especially in Alaska. He encouraged the creation of new forms of renewable energy. And in fact, he created the Department of Energy just to do that. Under his administration, we see the development of nuclear, wind, solar, and other sustainable sources of energy. And as a matter of fact, he even had solar panels put on the White House.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know they had solar panels.
I didn't either. Significant foreign policy accomplishments of his administration included the Panama Canal Treaties, the Camp David Accords, the Treaty of Peace between Egypt and Israel. That, I don't know if I put more in here or if I just read about it, but that was a war that went on for like 18 years. He went over there for 2 weeks and ended it.
I'm sure you'll get, I didn't read the script, so I don't know what you're going to get to, but I know that after, it was him, Bush Sr., and Bill Clinton. They would send on these missions over to these countries to negotiate and stuff. I know they were a team. I'm pretty sure it was the three of them.
He was all about peace. I think they might come up later, or I read a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, and he did the SALT II treaty with the Soviet Union, and the establishment of U.S. diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. He championed human rights around the world. Throughout his inaugural year, Carter prioritized energy policy and urged the public to seriously consider the energy crisis. I already said that. He created the Department of Education.
Did he? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Major educational programs under the new Department of Education, and major environmental protection legislation, which doubled the size of national park systems and tripled the wilderness areas. Carter is the author of 32 books, including several memoirs, a poetry collection, and a children's book.
I did hear about his poetry book this morning. I actually heard about that. I haven't read it, but
I'm not a reader because I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADHD and I just can't focus. But I can read poems because they're short. So I was thinking of looking them up. I just didn't have time for this. He also won 3 Grammy Awards for his audiobooks.
Oh.
Many of his books deal with the topic of religious faith, which was central to the way he approached his life and his death. And there again, as we have said before, That man lived the true Christian life.
That is 100% accurate.
Yes. While serving as the 39th president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, who died on December 29th at the age of 100, brokered a peace deal between Israel and Egypt, pioneered a federal energy program, and reassured a nation that was still shaken by the Watergate scandal.
I read that wrong, and I saw it as Waterloo, and
You thought ABBA was involved
I thought
somewhere?
ABBA was coming in.
Yeah. No ABBA in this story.
Damn it.
Carter inherited the economic quagmire of the stagflation, a combination of high inflation and unemployment and slow economic growth. He managed to decrease the budget deficit and create some 8 million jobs during his time in office, but inflation and interest rates continued to rise. Toward the end of the presidency, Carter created another new cabinet-level department. That's when he created the Department of Education to expand social services to children and their families. That's probably why a lot of people hate him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because he cared about people that weren't rich. Carter's greatest legacy, however, might just be the way he approached life following his presidency.
And that is what I have always been under the impression that he was not a very good president at the time, but that everything after his presidency was.
Right.
But
and I don't necessarily think he was a bad president. I just think he was really, really way too far ahead of his time. Like, people were not ready to hear the stuff.
No, and
he wanted to say.
I think Reagan ended up getting a lot of credit for stuff Carter put into motion because the release of the hostages.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Carter, that was all negotiated by Carter, but they were released after Reagan took office. Right. So it was like the day after or something.
Right.
So he got all the credit for it, but it was really Carter's administration that did it.
Right.
So
Yep.
I think that's what the problem maybe was.
Yep. So he was inaugurated at the age of 52, which was relatively young. With a series of unfortunate events, namely the Iran hostage crisis, causing discord during Carter's final year in office. He failed to win the re-election in 1980. However, he bounced back with a uniquely strong post-presidency. He had decades of possibility ahead of him, and when he left the White House in 1981, he chose to devote the latter half of his life to continued public service. In 1982, in partnership with Emory University, he established the Carter Center, an organization dedicated to promoting peace and well-being around the globe. Carter and his wife, Rosalind, who died in November 2023 at the age of 96, famously volunteered with Habitat for Humanity for decades, and he brought to action what most presidents only speak about.
So he was working. There's a great picture of him at 95 years old.
With the black eye?
With the black eye, because he fell the day before, hit his head, and then they show him, and he's not just like symbolically building this house. He is holding an air hammer at 95 years old.
And like focusing on what he's doing. Like, he's working.
With the whole side of his face black from a bruise.
Yep.
The man is intense. Like, just...
He is.
And Habitat, let me just tell you about Habitat.
Okay.
Because I know somebody who has a Habitat house. We went and helped build it.
Okay.
So that is it's a lot different situation than I was always under the impression of.
I have volunteered for Habitat a couple times too and build houses.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about it.
So when you are picked to get a Habitat house,
right,
you have to go
participate.
Well, not just that, but you have to go through months, and I mean months of fixing your credit, getting the loan. I was always under the impression they built this house, it was yours, bang, have a nice day.
You have to get a mortgage.
You have to get a mortgage. You have to have there's so many requirements for these houses. You have to participate in other people's houses. You have to give so many hours to other people.
Yep.
And then you have to give so many hours to yourself. And then you have to have so many of your people
Right.
hours.
Yes.
So because she worked for us, this girl, she had worked for us for forever. We all went to help her. A couple, was it just once or I don't remember, but it was a load of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I feel kind of bad for the poor foreman that has to deal with people who don't know how to swing a hammer because he's getting frustrated all day. But the cool thing about it was because the day we went was pretty much just her family kind of a situation, and her family and her friends situation. Because all of our hours also that day counted towards her hours.
Okay.
So if you bring a friend, their hours count towards your hours.
Right.
So her house was the frame had gone. We had put the frame up. The roofing frame was going up, and they were putting plywood up, and we all got to sign. So you got to, I wrote my meatball recipe and where the kitchen was going to be. So it's a really cool thing, and I didn't realize that it was. And they have such a hard time finding, especially here.
Yes.
Because, the price of land has, quadrupled in the last 4 years. So it's very difficult to find land here.
Yeah.
For them to build houses. But it's a really cool
I participated in it twice. Both times I organized for our office to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And that was fun. And the first house that we worked on, they were just putting up the 2x4s for the walls. It was a floor and 2x4s.
Right.
And we did the same. We all signed our names on the 2x4s. That'll be inside the walls.
Yeah.
And then so we didn't really meet anybody participating in the house yet with that one. But the next one we did, we were doing final touches in the house. And it was a single dad with a couple kids, and they came, and his family came, and our office and his family all worked together. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
It's a very moving experience. And we ended up going the day they turned the keys over to her. Aww. Yeah. It was a very emotional time because literally we have known this girl since she was a baby.
Aww.
Her mom worked for us. And I knew her since I babysat her.
That's so cool.
I babysat her sisters, not her. But I'm very familiar with her family. And so it was really cool to see her.
It is a neat thing. So if you're looking for a way to give back to your community, highly recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very humbling.
Very. Yep. So next I want to talk about the Carter Center, which is really his big legacy that he leaves behind. So in 1982, Carter became the University Distinguished Professor at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And with Rosalind Carter, he founded the Carter Center. The nonpartisan, which I love that part of it, nonpartisan, and nonprofit center addresses national and international issues of public policy. Carter Center staff and associates have joined the president in efforts to resolve conflict, promote democracy, protect human rights, and prevent disease and other afflictions. The center has spearheaded the international effort to eradicate guinea worm disease.
I don't know if I want to know what guinea worm disease is.
I don't either, but it's poised to be the second human disease in history to be eradicated. Huh. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I did see something on the news about it last night, but I didn't hear really any more than that. But anyway, the permanent facility of the Carter Presidential Center was dedicated in October 1986, and it includes the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum. It's administered by the National Archives, and it is open to visitors at the Historical Park in Plains, administered by the National Park Service. Until 2020, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter volunteered 1 week a year for Habitat for Humanity, a nonprofit organization that helps needy people in the United States and in other countries renovate and build homes for themselves. He also taught Sunday school in the Maranatha Baptist Church of Plains. The Carters have 3 sons, 1 daughter, 9 grandsons, 1 is deceased, 3 granddaughters, 5 great-grandsons, and 9 great-granddaughters.
Good Lord.
That's a family right there.
Yeah, it is.
Carter will be remembered for governing with a sense of morality and honesty in his approach to both foreign affairs and domestic matters. The late president said in 1978, "Human rights is the soul of our foreign policy." He maintained his commitment to human rights in his projects with the Carter Center, and he was awarded the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize for his decades of untiring effort to find peaceful solutions to international conflicts, to advance democracy and human rights, and to promote economic and social development.
I didn't really see. I remember hearing about his daughter. I think she had a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I don't think I realized his family was so big.
I didn't either. I know, because my mom or my dad or one of them, apparently she would come to Ocean City all the time and get into some trouble in Ocean City. From what I understand, I have heard that she was a partier.
All right.
But don't quote me on allegedly, because, I don't want the Carter Foundation coming for me.
No, I'm going to reinforce that thought right there later on. Okay.
Look at that. Look at me knowing shit.
Next, I wanted to share some fun facts about Jimmy Carter.
Fun facts.
Fun facts. So Jimmy Carter was on Home Improvement.
Really?
Yes. Tim Allen, Home Improvement. So one of the most popular sitcoms in the 1990s was Home Improvement, Tim Allen's first leading project. Carter had a brief cameo in season 3, episode 18. In the episode, Tim Allen's character, Tim Taylor, and his wife compete to see who can build a house faster as a part of Habitat for Humanity, an organization Carter has been a longtime supporter of. Carter appears at the end of the episode in a televised message to the Taylors. Tim, what can I say? Crews are working around the clock to repair what you built.
Oh, that's funny.
That is cute. Another fun fact is the Smiling Peanut. There is a 13-foot tall Smiling Peanut statue that debuted in 1976 by the Indiana Democratic Party as a part of Carter's presidential campaign, because Carter's dad was a peanut farmer. It draws a connection between Georgia's iconic crop while bearing a smile reminiscent of Carter's. The peanut is made of solid foam sprayed over a series of metal hoops covered with chicken wire. But here's the fun part. It has moved around over the years, but today stands in Plains and currently stands at 120 Buena Vista Road. What's even more interesting about the roadside attraction is a certain local legend. There's a hole in the back of it, which was carved by a Secret Service to ensure there were no assassins or bombs hidden in the peanut.
Oh, that's funny.
And while we're talking Secret Service, I enjoyed doing this as well because it reminded me of an old friend who has probably since passed, because it's been, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. When I worked in the casino as a cocktail waitress and I met my husband, he was a casino host. So he rubbed elbows with all the rich.
The well-to-dos.
Correct. And which meant, big tips, dinners, drinks, like all these things. So I got to get in on that action when I met my husband.
This was also, to back it up for you, this was also before every state had casinos. So there was literally only Nevada,
Jersey, Atlantic City.
Did New York have... I think the Indian reservations could.
Oh, they did.
Florida had one, and Mohegan Sun probably was here. But anyway, Maryland didn't have them.
Pennsylvania didn't have them.
And nobody else had casinos.
So he had a customer that would come in, and he was an older man, and he was retired Secret Service, which is just badass in and of itself. He had covered a number of presidents. Of course, he didn't share a whole bunch of information, but he would tell the best stories. He went to South America once to protect the Pope. He had to frisk nuns, which sounded exciting. But for whatever reason, he hated Jimmy Carter.
That's crazy.
Hated Jimmy Carter. And he would never really say why, except he just hated Jimmy Carter. So I don't know if this guy was a staunch Republican and Jimmy's policies were just way too crazy for him, or if guarding him as Secret Service was a nightmare of some sort. I I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
I can't imagine that he would have
Been
been
difficult.
a problem. Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is if he wanted to be in the crowd too much and around the people too much, which would make it
yeah.
hard. But yeah, he could not stand Jimmy Carter. That man was from Maine, though, and he taught me how to eat a whole lobster properly, head to toe, and not waste any of it. And I am thankful forever for that. So yeah,
I just was looking up. Do you know what? Because the Secret Service, this fascinates the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
How the Secret Service has the code name for the president and the family. And do you know what his one?
No.
His was? Deacon.
Perfect.
Rosalind was Lotus Petal.
Oh,
Amy Carter was Dynamo. Chip Carter was Diamond. Jack Carter was Derby. And Jeff Carter was Deckhand. As also a fun fact, Ronald Reagan was Rawhide.
That's perfect.
And Joe Biden is Celtic.
Well, shouldn't we not know that yet?
No, I think they did. I don't think they...
Well, what's the point in having a code name if everybody knows it?
That is a great question. Obama was Renegade.
I like it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That is fun. Next fun fact. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO.
That is a fun fact.
It seems to be a theme with our shows here lately. One of the
Really UFO heavy here.
One of the longest running strange stories to surround Carter was the time he saw a UFO. While the exact dates of the sighting is unclear, the story goes that after a dinner more than 50 years ago, Carter said he and several other people saw something in the sky. A kind of green light appeared in the western sky. This was right after sundown. It got brighter and brighter, and then it eventually disappeared. It didn't have any solid substance to it. It was just a very peculiar looking light. None of us could understand what it was.
I mean, in the South? Where was this in the South? So how far south? No, you didn't say south. So where was it?
I didn't see anywhere. I don't think it was in the story.
Oh,
where it was.
The only reason I asked that was it the Northern Lights?
Well, he clarified in another interview years later that while it was an unidentified flying object, he didn't necessarily mean a flying saucer. It was unidentified as far as we are concerned, but I think it's impossible, in my opinion, some people may disagree, to have space people from other planets or other stars to come, which is exactly what I say.
Oh, well, and that one now, see, him saying that, so he was president. And Roswell was prior to him becoming president. So he would have had access. Although I don't think they let him have access. I think that's like one spot the president just can't go. Like, I don't think they're even allowed there.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason honest to God, that is the only reason I would want to be president. Like on January 20th at 5 p.m., I would be like, we're going to Roswell right now. Not now, but right now. Fuck this ball. Fuck everything else. We're fire Air Force One up because we are going to Vegas.
Yep.
I want to know.
Yep.
I want to know what is at Area 51.
So the next little fun fact, I left you a picture, which I will post up on our Facebook page later, but it's a picture of Jimmy Carter and Willie Nelson sitting on a couch together.
At Merriweather.
At Merriweather Post Pavilion in Maryland in 1980. I have seen concerts at Merriweather Post Pavilion.
Also.
So the next fun fact is that Jimmy Carter was a rock and roll president.
Oh.
As Variety magazine put it, Carter was remembered as the ultimate music-loving president, which I would have thought Clinton was, but or even Obama. But he was not only a huge fan of big names like the Allman Brothers and Bob Dylan, but they were also fans of his. The close relationship Carter had with music and musicians was the focus of a documentary called Jimmy Carter, Rock and Roll President, which you can watch on Max.
Maybe I will.
Yeah. In the documentary, Carter laughs as he revealed that when Willie Nelson came to stay at the White House, he smoked marijuana with one of his sons.
With one of his sons.
Uh-huh.
Sure he did.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I read it too. But just the fact that he would admit it at all in the White House. Like,
he did not inhale, though.
No, that was Bush.
Oh.
Junior. So, next fun fact, Jimmy missed out on being valedictorian. When Jimmy Carter was graduating from Plains High School in 1941, he was slated to be the valedictorian, but missed the chance because he skipped a day of classes.
See, that's why I never skipped a day. Also, I was not valedictorian.
He reportedly went to see a movie on April Fool's Day in Americus with some other senior boys. Carter received zeros for that day and became the salutatorian instead. It was hardcore back then.
Yeah.
So those are all my fun facts. Do you have any fun facts that you know of
do
about
have
Jimmy Carter?
I did. I looked
You
up one
do?
because I got curious. And
Okay.
we had a minute because Nicole tried to die on
So I
me.
was choking on my own spit
Yeah,
again.
she tried to
nothing new.
die a little bit ago. And I just sat here waiting for her to make a decision. So I found out. Now, I do know, I think they name some kind of a ship after all the presidents.
That sounds right.
I know the Navy, because I know there's the USS JFK. Oh, there was. I don't know if it still is, because I had friends. My friends in the Navy were on the JFK, which is a whole story for another day. Heather and her Navy friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyway, the USS Jimmy Carter is the third and final Seawolf class nuclear powered fast attack submarine in the United States Navy. Commissioned in 2005, she is named for the 39th president, Jimmy Carter, the only president to have been qualified on submarines, the only submarine to have been named for a living president, and the Jimmy Carter is one of the few vessels and only the third submarine of the U.S. Navy to have been named for a living person. Extensively modified, sometimes describes it's pretty much a one of a kind thing. It's unlike any other Navy submarine, it's fitted with small thrusters and its bow and stern. At its bow and stern, allowing it to quietly hover in place for extended periods during undersea spy missions.
Ooh.
Today, details of the Carter's missions remain among the Defense Department's most tightly held secrets.
That is so badass.
Great. So he got a whole because when I was looking through that, he served on a Seawolf.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Very cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the fun fact.
Sure.
All right. So
Thanks for not dying. Nobody wants to hear me talk to myself.
just a little spittle. That's all. So we've gone through his biography, his presidency, some of his legacy, some fun facts, and now I'd like to wrap it up with some wisdom from Jimmy Carter. I found this and I thought it was really kind of neat, his view on different things. So the first one, Jimmy Carter on community service. I have learned that our greatest blessings come when we are able to improve the lives of others, and this is especially true when those others are desperately poor or in need. And I mean, how much do we need a president that feels like that right now?
I mean,
and that's not even a dig at anybody. Like,
none of them care.
people need help, man.
It's tough times.
Yeah. So the next one is Jimmy Carter on finding purpose. I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. I'm free to choose that something. That something, the something that I've chosen, is my faith. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I can, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have to try to make a difference.
And that should be the very definition of a Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
What would
I mean,
Jesus
that's
do?
it. Yeah. What would Jimmy Carter do?
I that's what we have to start
We're
saying.
going to get bracelets.
I mean, it's the same bracelet. It's the same initials, so we really don't have to, just a rebrand, really.
You're going to hell.
I know.
All right. So
Not just for that.
Jimmy Carter on human rights. The rule of law is a process rather than an end product. The desire for freedom and justice is a most powerful force in the lives of suffering people. We must recognize their plight, expose the human rights crimes, rescue victims from their oppressors, and let them join us in sharing the benefits of the rule of laws that provide justice and lives of equality and peace.
Yes.
Phew. I bet Jimmy said it way better than I did.
He just had that lovely accent.
That southern
That
drawl.
southern drawl.
Yep.
Yeah.
That Georgia peach.
Gotta love a southern drawl.
Yep. Jimmy Carter on bipartisanship. You learn a lot about a man when you run against him for president, and when you stand in his shoes and assume the responsibilities that he has borne so well, and perhaps even more after you both lay down the burdens of high office and work together in a nonpartisan spirit of patriotism and service. Again, something that I hope we can find our way to. We got to work together, people. Jimmy Carter on gender equality. So this was the 70s, so gender equality was still a very new concept. Yet, although economic disparity is a great and growing problem, I have become convinced that the most serious and unaddressed worldwide challenge is the deprivation and abuse of women and girls, largely caused by a false interpretation of carefully selected religious text and a growing tolerance of violence and warfare, unfortunately following the example set during my lifetime by the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And to even call out like his own religion, like,
right. Yeah.
You guys are making these rules up out of the Bible. So
you're picking and choosing. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Carter on the horror of war. War may sometimes be a necessary evil, but no matter how necessary, it is always an evil, never a good. We will not learn how to live together in peace by killing each other's children.
That's true.
You know, that's something that has just always, like, why is that the route we take? Why can't we?
Because human beings are an incredibly violent animal.
It's crazy.
I mean, really, if there is a cancer on this planet, it is the human beings. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is no other creature on this planet that can be as vicious
towards its own kind.
Anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
We have literally gone through like locusts through this planet. Mm-hmm. And,
yeah.
Say what you want about, like we talked about last week with the end of the world. I don't know that we're that far away from it.
No. And I don't want to participate in it.
No.
Jimmy Carter on peacekeeping. History teaches perhaps very few clear lessons, but surely one such lesson learned by the world at great cost is that aggression, unopposed, becomes a contagious disease.
It's true.
Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy on overcoming hardships. Our American values are not luxuries, but necessities. Not the salt in our bread, but the bread itself. Our common vision of a free and just society is our greatest source of cohesion at home and strength abroad, greater even than the bounty of all our material blessings.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree 1,000,000%. All right, we got two more. Jimmy Carter and the secret to his marriage with Rosalind Carter. At the end of the day, we try to become reconciled and overcome all the differences that arose during the day. We also make up and give each other a kiss before we go to sleep.
And that's why they were married. I think it was like 70 years they were married.
Yeah. They were
a long time.
Very young. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you tolerate someone for 70 years? I don't even tolerate myself for 70 years.
And finally, Jimmy Carter on the future of the United States. Sometimes I'm fearful and sometimes I'm hopeful, but overwhelmingly I'm hopeful. I have confidence in the basic integrity of the American people.
Well, somebody should have confidence in our basic integrity.
I wonder how he felt about that in his last years, because I feel like our integrity has been compromised.
I don't know that we really ever had it.
True. That is true.
I mean, it's not just this country, it's all the countries in the world. It's just human beings. I mean, it's just, we're not good to each other. We're wretched. We're just like, we're locusts, and it's a shame because it doesn't always have to be that way. But and there are good people, Jimmy Carter being one.
Right.
And that he lived to be 100 years old. So,
Yeah.
maybe living with hate is not good.
You're in trouble.
I know. Everybody knows I'm going to have cancer. Hate cancer. I'm going to have hate cancer. It's from pushing all the hate down. So I have stomach problems.
So this was our tribute to Jimmy Carter. We felt it was right to do it this week. So this will also be my last podcast for the next month with no wine because I am again doing dry January. So if I don't slur as much in the next
she won't be as
couple of
giggly.
episodes and I don't giggle as much, you know why.
I thought she was going to drop a bombshell on me here on say this is
quit.
my last one. You're like, again,
I quit.
Nobody. I don't want to hear myself talk. Today we had a end of the year talk at work, and I'll not go on. It's not. Anyway, so basically, it was a safety talk. Obviously we have safety talks, and we're not allowed to have earbuds. And I said that's going to be very unfortunate that I have to be alone with myself and nothing else running through my head for like 9 hours a day. Feel like it's.
And did they say never mind? Use
No,
earbuds?
you specifically. You listen to
We
earbuds,
insist.
yes, because we don't need that kind of.
So you'll just sneak one in?
No. Safety first.
Safety first.
Safety first.
I get it.
Yeah, it's just. So today is New Year's Eve.
Correct.
We record on Tuesdays.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm leaving here and I'm going straight home, and I'm gonna make myself. I don't know what I'm going to make myself because I don't remember what I have. But
I have a house full of people in the other room.
they have made it very difficult to record this podcast. Shh, don't tell them I said that.
I don't think any of them listen,
No,
so
they
don't worry
don't.
about it. But we do have a shit ton of food that I am way excited about. Like we are grilling steaks tonight.
Snakes?
No,
Ew.
not steaks. Grilling steaks,
Oh,
baked
that's fun.
potatoes, cheese, lots of cheese,
Can't go wrong with cheese.
cocktail shrimp.
I can't imagine I'll make it till midnight. No, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I woke up early this morning.
I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning. I actually woke up before 6 a.m. and I laid in bed until 6. And then I just got up. I was like, just forget it. I was like, of all the days when I have to stay up till midnight tonight, seriously,
Right.
I have to wake up at 6 a.m. today.
See, I'm an early person. You know that about me. I'm always up that early. But now that I'm getting older, I do sleep in. Although Joe is like, I don't think sleeping until 7:30 is sleeping in. And I'm like, I mean, it is when I get up at 5 every morning.
It is, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just tired today.
Yeah.
So I will not be making it to midnight.
Okay. I'll tell you all about it.
I think it's going to just probably be a ball dropping and then and then it will be 12:01.
Yeah. And we'll all go to bed.
Yeah, I don't think yeah,
I
don't.
heard it's supposed to rain in New York City tonight, too.
Oh, God, that makes it even more miserable. I can't. I don't know.
No
I don't even
way.
want to go. Like, they're having all this shit going on
Oh, yeah, no.
around here. I do not want to go to Berlin and watch whatever they're dropping.
Nope.
Bethany's dropping something. I don't want to go see
I
that.
know my youngest is going to the beach, to the Rusty Rudder. They have a clear tent for fireworks. I'm like, do you, boo?
You know what? That reminds me. I have to drive freaking home through Dewey.
Ew.
I know. That's not,
We better wrap this up.
yeah. That's not going to be fun. They're already going to be drinking.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. Like, share, rate, review, like I say every week. You can find us where you listen to podcasts. We're on Pandora also now. You can follow us on all the socials at Like Whatever Pod. You can send us an email to tell us whatever you want to tell us at likewhateverpod@gmail.com. Tell us to, I don't know, whatever. So send an email or don't, like whatever.
Whatever.
Bye.
Bye.